The Nexus Protocol. Chapter 1, Desperate Descent. The vast expanse of space, a canvas of stars and nebulae, pulsed with the silent rhythm of countless civilizations. But amidst this cosmic ballet, a discordant note echoed, a war that had raged for decades, pitting the interstellar alliance against the ruthless hegemony. The stakes were high, the casualties mounting, and hope dwindling with each passing day. Xylo, a seasoned diplomat from the Alliance, clutched the controls of his ship, the Zephyr. It was a nimble vessel, but now battered and scarred from a relentless pursuit by hegemony forces. Xylo's mission was simple yet monumental: deliver the Nexus Protocol, a device of unimaginable power, to a secret location on Earth. A device that could end the war or escalate it beyond comprehension. A warning light flashed on the console, a shrill alarm piercing the quiet of the cockpit. "Hull breach in Sector 3, a synthetic voice announced. Xylo grimaced, his three-fingered hands tightening on the controls. He'd evaded the hegemony's fleet, but the Zephyr had paid the price. He pushed the ship to its limits, hurtling through the atmosphere of a blue-green planet. Earth, his destination, but not under these circumstances. The Zephyr shuddered violently, alarms blaring. Xylo braced himself as the ship plummeted, flames licking at its hull. The impact was brutal. The Zephyr crashed into the barren landscape of a desert, skidding across the sand in a shower of sparks. Xylo, thrown against the console, gasped for air, his vision blurring. The Nexus Protocol, a sleek metallic orb, lay on the floor, its lights flickering ominously. Miles away, a lone figure watched the fiery descent. Dr. Maya Patel, a woman with dark eyes filled with weariness, stood on the porch of her isolated research station. She had retreated here years ago, seeking solace from the pain of her past. Now curiosity tugged at her. Something about that crash felt significant. With a sigh, she grabbed her flashlight and set off towards the distant glow on the horizon. Hours later, Maya stood at the edge of the crater, the wreckage of the Zephyr smoking in the moonlight. Amidst the debris, a figure stirred. Xylo, bruised and bleeding, stumbled out of the ship. His gaze fell upon Maya, a mix of surprise and hope in his eyes. "Please," he rasped, his voice raspy and unfamiliar. "Help me." Maya hesitated. She had sworn off helping anyone, her trust shattered by the tragedy that had taken her family. But something in Xylo's eyes, a desperate plea, a flicker of shared humanity, spoke to her. She stepped forward, extending a hand. "I'm Dr. Patel," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "Let's get you out of here." Xylo grasped her hand, a surge of relief flooding his senses. He didn't know if he could trust this human, but he had no other choice. The fate of the galaxy rested on it. Chapter 2. The Nexus Unveiled. The dim glow of the research station's infirmary cast long shadows on the walls. Maya worked tirelessly, her brow furrowed in concentration as she examined the alien lying on the makeshift operating table. Xylo's skin, a shimmering blue, was marred with cuts and bruises, but his vital signs were stable. "You're lucky," Maya muttered, applying a soothing balm to a particularly nasty gash. "Most humans wouldn't have survived a crash like that." Xylo's eyes, the color of twilight skies, flickered open. "We are resilient," he said, his voice still raspy, "but our physiology is different. Your medicine may not be effective." Maya raised an eyebrow. "Well, it's better than nothing. Now stay still." She turned her attention to the metallic orb that Xylo had clutched so tightly. The Nexus Protocol. It was unlike anything she had ever seen, its surface etched with intricate symbols that seemed to shift and shimmer. "What is this?" Maya asked, her curiosity piqued. Xylo winced as she touched the orb. "It is a beacon of hope," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "A way to end the war that has ravaged our galaxy." Maya paused, her hands hovering over the device. "War? What war?" Xylo took a deep breath, the effort causing him to wince again. He told her about the Interstellar Alliance, a coalition of peaceful civilizations, and the hegemony, a ruthless empire bent on domination. He spoke of the countless lives lost, the planets ravaged, the fear that gripped the galaxy. Maya listened intently, her initial skepticism giving way to a growing sense of unease. She had always believed humanity was alone in the universe, but Xylo's words painted a far more complex and terrifying picture. "In this Nexus protocol?" Maya asked, her voice hushed. "It can stop the war?" Xylo nodded. "It can neutralize the hegemony's weapons, cripple their fleet, but it is damaged. I need your help to repair it." Maya stared at the orb, a sense of purpose stirring within her. She had always been a problem solver, a scientist driven to understand the mysteries of the universe. This was a challenge unlike any other, but one that she felt compelled to accept. "I'll do what I can," she said, her voice firm, "but I can't promise anything." Xylo reached out, his hand brushing against hers. "Thank you," he said, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. Meanwhile, in a sleek corporate boardroom on the other side of the globe, a man with cold, calculating eyes watched a holographic display of the crash site. Silas Thorne, CEO of the consortium, a powerful interstellar corporation, had intercepted the distress signal from Xylo's ship. "Find that alien and the device," Thorne commanded, his voice echoing through the room. "The Nexus protocol is ours." His subordinates nodded, their faces grim. They knew the stakes were high. The consortium had long sought to exploit the Galactic war for profit, and the Nexus protocol could be their ultimate prize. As Thorne watched the holographic image of Maya, a cruel smile played on his lips. He had a feeling that the disillusioned scientist would prove to be a valuable asset, whether she knew it or not. Chapter 3. The chase begins. The desert wind howled, a mournful symphony against the rising sun. Maya adjusted the straps of her backpack, the weight of the Nexus protocol a comforting burden. Beside her, Xylo scanned the horizon, his three-fingered hands shielding his eyes from the glare. "We must make haste," he said, his voice a low rumble. "The consortium's reach is vast. They will not stop until they have the protocol." Maya nodded, her heart pounding in her chest. The thrill of the unknown mingled with a cold dread. She had always been a creature of logic and reason, but now she was venturing into a world where the rules of science seemed to bend and twist. They set off, their footsteps leaving faint trails in the sand. Xylo led the way, his knowledge of alien technology guiding them towards a hidden network of tunnels that crisscrossed beneath the desert. The air grew cooler as they descended, the walls closing in around them. "These tunnels were built by my ancestors," Xylo explained, his voice echoing in the narrow passage. "A sanctuary hidden from the prying eyes of the galaxy." Maya glanced at him, a question forming on her lips. But before she could speak, a low growl filled the air. Xylo froze, his body tensing. "Shh," he hissed, motioning for Maya to stay silent. "Xatharians, they are not ... FRNly." Maya felt a shiver run down her spine. Xatharians, a reptilian species known for their aggression and territorial instincts. She gripped her flashlight tighter, her eyes scanning the darkness. The growls grew louder, closer. Suddenly, a pair of glowing yellow eyes appeared in the gloom, followed by a sleek, scaled form. The Xatharian hissed, baring sharp teeth. Xylo stepped forward, his voice surprisingly calm. "We mean no harm," he said in a guttural language that Maya didn't understand. "We seek only passage." The Xatharian tilted its head, its eyes narrowing. Then, to Maya's surprise, it stepped aside, allowing them to pass. "They respect strength," Xylo explained as they continued their journey, "and a shared enemy." As they walked, Maya noticed Xylo's shoulders slumping, his usual stoicism replaced by a weariness that seemed to seep from his very core. "You are troubled," Maya observed. Xylo sighed, a sound like wind rustling through leaves. "I have seen much suffering," he said, his voice heavy with sorrow. "The war ... IT has taken a toll on my people. On me." He paused, his gaze fixed on the tunnel ahead. "I lost my family," he continued, his voice barely a whisper. "My mate, my son, they were killed in a hegemony attack. I blame myself. I should have protected them." Maya reached out, placing a hand on his arm. "You cannot blame yourself for the actions of others," she said gently. "War ... IT leaves scars on everyone." Xylo turned to her, his eyes filled with gratitude. "You are kind," he said, "for a human." Maya chuckled softly. "And you're not so bad for an alien." Their eyes met, a shared moment of understanding passing between them. They were different, yes, but they were also united by a common purpose, a shared desire to end the conflict that threatened to engulf their worlds. Chapter 4. The Convergence. The air crackled with an otherworldly energy as Maya and Xylo emerged from the tunnels into a cavernous chamber. Glowing crystals lined the walls, casting an ethereal light that danced on the ancient symbols etched into the rock. At the center of the chamber, a pedestal awaited, its surface perfectly molded to cradle the Nexus protocol. "This is it," Xylo whispered, reverence in his voice. "The Convergence chamber." Maya approached the pedestal, her fingers tracing the grooves of the symbols. The Nexus protocol hummed in her hands, a symphony of light and energy resonating with the ancient etchings. "It's beautiful," she murmured, mesmerized by the intricate patterns. "But how does it work?" Xylo hesitated, his brow furrowed. "The protocol requires a catalyst," he said slowly, "a merging of consciousness between two beings, one from each species." Maya's heart skipped a beat. "A merging," she repeated, a sense of unease creeping into her voice. Xylo nodded. "It is the only way to unlock its full potential, to harmonize the frequencies." Maya stared at the orb, a myriad of emotions swirling within her. Fear, curiosity, a sense of duty. But beneath it all, a spark of hope ignited. If this device could truly end the war, wasn't it worth the risk? "Tell me what I need to do," she said, her voice surprisingly steady. Xylo explained the process, his voice laced with both excitement and trepidation. The merging would be a mental and emotional fusion, a sharing of memories, experiences, and even pain. It would be a test of their bond, their trust in each other. Maya took a deep breath, her gaze meeting Xylo's. "I'm ready," she said, her voice barely a whisper. Xylo placed the Nexus protocol on the pedestal. As the orb settled into place, the symbols on the walls began to glow brighter, pulsing with a rhythmic energy. Maya and Xylo reached out, their fingers touching the surface of the protocol. A surge of power coursed through them, their minds merging, their consciousness intertwining. Maya saw flashes of Xylo's life, the war-torn landscapes of his homeworld, the faces of his loved ones, the pain of their loss. Xylo, in turn, experienced the depths of Maya's grief, the guilt that had haunted her for so long. Tears welled up in Maya's eyes as she shared Xylo's pain. She felt the weight of his loss, the burden of his guilt, but she also felt his courage, his determination to end the suffering. In that moment, Maya made a choice. She let go of her own pain, her own doubts. She embraced Xylo's hope, his belief in a better future. The Convergence chamber filled with blinding light as the Nexus protocol activated. A wave of energy swept across the planet, radiating out into the cosmos. The hegemony's weapon systems flickered and died, their fleet rendered powerless. The war was over. As the light faded, Maya collapsed, her body drained. Xylo knelt beside her, his hand gently stroking her hair. "You did it," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "You saved us all." Maya smiled weakly, her eyes filled with a newfound peace. She had confronted her demons, made a selfless sacrifice, and found redemption in the most unexpected of places. Chapter 5. A New Dawn. Maya awoke to a symphony of light. It wasn't the harsh, fluorescent glow of the infirmary, but a kaleidoscope of colors swirling and dancing before her eyes. She blinked, her senses adjusting to the new reality. She wasn't in her body, not in the way she was used to. "Welcome back," a voice echoed in her mind, warm and familiar. "Xylo." "Xylo?" Maya reached out, her hand passing through a shimmering veil of energy. "Where am I?" "Within the Nexus," Xylo replied. "You are now a part of it, a bridge between our worlds." Maya looked around, taking in the vastness of the space that surrounded her. It was a universe of pure energy, filled with constellations of data and streams of information flowing like rivers of light. She felt a sense of connection to everything around her, a profound understanding of the interconnectedness of all things. Images flashed before her eyes, fragments of history long forgotten. She saw ancient civilizations rising and falling, the evolution of species across countless worlds, the shared struggles and triumphs of sentient beings. And then she saw it, the truth. The Nexus protocol wasn't just a weapon, a tool to end a war. It was a repository of knowledge, a testament to the shared ancestry of humans and aliens. Eons ago, an ancient race had seeded life throughout the galaxy, planting the seeds of their own consciousness in the DNA of countless species. Maya realized that she wasn't just a scientist, a survivor, a hero. She was a link in a chain that stretched across the cosmos, a testament to the enduring spirit of life. "We are not so different after all," Xylo's voice whispered in her mind. Maya smiled, a wave of warmth washing over her. "No," she agreed, "we are not." News of the war's end spread like wildfire across the galaxy. The hegemony's grip on power crumbled, replaced by a wave of relief and jubilation. Xylo, hailed as a hero, returned to his homeworld, carrying with him the knowledge of humanity's newfound role in the galactic community. On Earth, Maya's sacrifice was met with both grief and awe. A memorial was erected in her honor, a beacon of hope for a future where humans and aliens could coexist in peace. The consortium, their plans foiled, faced the wrath of a united galaxy. Silas Thorne, stripped of his power and wealth, vanished into obscurity, a reminder of the dangers of unchecked ambition. In the aftermath of the war, a new era dawned. Humans and aliens began the slow but steady process of rebuilding, forging alliances based on trust and cooperation. Trade routes opened, cultural exchanges flourished, and scientific collaborations led to breakthroughs that benefited all. The Nexus protocol, now a symbol of unity, remained on Earth, guarded by a coalition of human and alien forces. It served as a reminder of the shared past, a beacon of hope for the future, and a testament to the extraordinary power of a single act of courage and sacrifice. Chapter 6, Symphony of Stars. Across the galaxy, celebrations erupted like novas. From the towering cities of Corvus Prime to the methane seas of Triton IV, a symphony of joy resonated. Flags of 1,000 colors fluttered in the solar winds. Fireworks painted the skies with fleeting rainbows, and music, both alien and human, filled the airwaves. On Xylo's homeworld, a solemn ceremony was held in the Grand Plaza. Xylo, standing tall in his ceremonial robes, addressed the gathered crowds. "Today we celebrate not only the end of a war, but the dawn of a new understanding," he declared, his voice amplified across the plaza. "We have learned that we are not alone in this universe, that we share a common heritage with the people of Earth. We have seen the power of unity, the strength that comes from embracing our differences." As Xylo spoke, a holographic image of Maya flickered to life beside him. Her smile was warm, her eyes filled with the same light that had shone in the Convergence chamber. "Dr. Maya Patel, a true hero of the Alliance," Xylo continued. "Her sacrifice has paved the way for a future where all species can live in peace and harmony." A hush fell over the crowd as they gazed at the image of the human woman who had given her life for their cause. Many wiped away tears, their hearts filled with gratitude and admiration. Back on Earth, a similar ceremony was held at the foot of Maya's memorial. Thousands gathered, their faces a tapestry of cultures and backgrounds. They listened as world leaders spoke of Maya's courage, her selflessness, and her unwavering belief in the potential for unity. Among the crowd, a young girl with Maya's dark eyes and inquisitive spirit watched the ceremony with rapt attention. Her name was Anya, and she had been inspired by Maya's story to pursue a career in astrophysics. "Mom," Anya whispered, clutching her mother's hand, "I want to be like Dr. Patel. I want to explore the stars and make a difference in the world." Her mother smiled, a tear rolling down her cheek. "I know you will, my dear," she said, her voice filled with pride, "just like Maya." In the depths of the Nexus, Maya's consciousness soared. She was no longer bound by the limitations of her human form, but existed as pure energy, a symphony of light and information. She could feel the pulse of the universe, the ebb and flow of life across countless worlds. And she could see the future. She saw humans and aliens working side by side, exploring new frontiers, sharing knowledge, and building a better tomorrow. She saw children like Anya growing up in a world where peace and understanding were the norm, not the exception. A smile spread across Maya's ethereal face. Her sacrifice had not been in vain. It had ignited a spark of hope that would burn brightly for generations to come. The Symphony of Stars had only just begun.